Hey guys, this is Alex, and it is my third week on testosterone. So, I'm sorry I didn't upload a video last week. I had one recorded, but I was unable to upload it around the time that I wanted to, so I figured, why bother doing it, considering it was so late. So, this week's topic is coming out, and I have quite some stories. But first, I'm going to go over any effects testosterone's had. I am starting to get a little bit of acne. I don't know if you can tell. I'm getting a little bit, my face is getting oily, so I'm just washing it. I feel like I've had a bit more energy. Apparently, my voice has dropped very slightly, which I haven't noticed, but I mean, according to my girlfriend, it had lowered a tiny bit. So that's progress, and that's all I care about. And I've been hitting the gym, and obviously I'm not gonna see results right away, but I'm getting something. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm starting to get like this little line. So that's happening a lot quicker than I presumed, which is pretty cool. Some of my hip fat, I feel like, has been going more towards my stomach. So I mean, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because it's a good thing because I don't have, my hip stretch lines aren't as bad, but it's a bad thing because my stomach's getting bigger. So it looks like I'm getting fatter in a way, but I'm not. So I just have to work harder and work out more, really. So also, higher sex drive, definitely. It's kind of ridiculous because, you would think, I don't know, after a while you'd be like, oh yeah, well, I'm kind of horny, but it's more of like, I'm horny all the time. It's just a certain interval that's even worse. So that's kind of how it is. So sorry if it's TMI, but all honesty. So now to move on to the topic. The topic of this week is coming out, and I came out freshman year. The first person I ever came out to was my stepbrother. And he took it pretty well. I just basically told him, like, hey, what if I was born a boy? Like, do you think I would be like a good boy, like, considering, how I'm masculine? And he was like, oh yeah, I think you would make a great guy. And I was like, well, what if I am a guy? And, I told him what transgender meant, and he was really accepting. He just sometimes said things that I feel like was kind of poking fun at me, as far as, like, if I hadn't told him I was trans, he never would have said those things. But, I mean, he is my brother, so. Alright, next person I told was my girlfriend, who I was very nervous about telling at this point in time, because when we started dating, she identified as bi, but then a month into our relationship, she identified as a lesbian. So I was terrified because I was scared she was going to be like, well, you're a guy, so I'm a lesbian, so bi. But that didn't happen. She was like, yeah, I am bi. I guess I don't think I am a lesbian, because I still like guys. And I was like, awesome. She was extremely supportive. She has been, like, my number one person throughout my entire transition so far, the past 4 years. We're still together now. We've been off and on. But she has been my biggest support system and the biggest person that's ever helped me. So, always giving her a shout out in, I don't know, my life. So, alright. Going into my sophomore year of high school, I was in therapy to talk about issues about my dad, but I wanted to talk about my gender too. So, I told my therapist, so I guess you can say I came out to her. And then after that, I decided I wanted to come out to my mom and my family. And so I wrote a letter, because I'm not very good with speaking, things that I'm extremely nervous about. And I let my therapist read it, and before I knew it, she was bringing my mom into the room for her to read it and for me to talk to her about it. And I had told her before that I wanted to leave the note with her when she had came for some time, that she would come home from work and I would be out so she could have the time to reflect and think. But I was kind of rushed into it, and that freaked me out, and I kind of worded it in ways that I really wish that it hadn't. And my therapist really didn't take a very good standpoint on it. She wasn't really defending my views. She was just kind of saying, like, oh, why don't you do this? Why won't you do this? And that really wasn't helping me or my case. So my mom freaked out. She pulled me out of therapy. I don't totally blame her for that. And she called up my dad. She told him. He was kind of like, oh, it's a phase. And then he brushed it under the rug. And then my mom was still really, really edgy with me. She brought me to my grandmother's house. And we sat down. And we had this whole big talk. And all of us cried because they were like, you know, this isn't what you want. You don't want to be a boy because of this. You don't want to be transgender because of this. This is what's going to happen to you. You're going to look bad if you're a boy, and, you know, all these other things. And it was just terrible. And everyone was upset, and everyone was hurting, and it did not go the way that I thought it would, because I knew that it was going to not go, you know, all hunky-dory, and everyone was going to be like, oh, yes, let's all change and all that stuff. But I didn't think it would happen to that extent, and so that's something I didn't count on. The couple months later, my mom found me on a website talking to other trans people and basically just venting about my life and my feelings because I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to. And she freaked out more, and basically I stayed home from school several days that week and almost got brought to the mental hospital near my house, which was really scary. It was a terrible time. The whole rest of the year I stayed very low. But throughout the years, my mom has become extremely accepting. And I don't want people to think that she's a bad person. It was just a lot for her to, you know, take at once. And for people who are coming out to their family and haven't, or finding their family unaccepting, honestly, you're really going to have to give them a lot of time in a lot of cases. Because it took you a lot of time to figure out that you were transgender, so it's going to take them a lot of time, too, to try and understand you and accept you and, you know, just realize what's going on. So give them a lot of time. Also, give them a lot of research. Research is really good for them to see because they get reassurance and they get other views. And if you know anybody who is transgender or has a parent who's willing to talk to them, I highly suggest that, too. I think that would have been helpful in my situation. The issue is that although my mom has become accepting and my grandmother has as well, my dad still doesn't really accept the fact that I am transgender, and he really doesn't want to think about it. So basically, next week sometime, I have to come out to him again because I have to write him a letter and tell him I'm starting hormones. You know, this is how I am. It's not a phase. If it was a phase, it wouldn't have lasted this long. And it's going to be terrible, and I know it is. But I can't put it off any longer. I'm already on hormones, so it's not something that I can put off. I've put off my life for this long, and I've put off my happiness for so long. I just can't do it anymore. But I'm not going to talk about that until maybe not next week's video, but the one after, specifically because I don't know when next week I'm doing it. Because finals for me end Monday, but then the Tuesday after, so exactly a week from now, I'm going to be at a concert, so I'm also not going to upload a video until Wednesday. So, a lot of things coming up, a lot of stress, but I will talk to you guys about it and see how that goes. One other thing I wanted to say with regards to testosterone, not specifically coming out, but testosterone, is that, well, this week I gave myself my own injection, so I received my own medicine. If you and when you get testosterone, I'm sorry, I had to adjust. you're gonna want a box. I got this nice box at Target. It's not specifically for anything. It was literally a box for like toys. And basically it holds everything in there. So I have my needles, which these are the generalized ones, the smaller ones, and then under it is like a little pouch which holds the bigger needles, which are used for drawing out the testosterone. Then in here we have the pads, and there's this little thing here that holds my medicine, and it keeps it all like wrapped up, and that keeps everything secure and everything in one place. Also, when you take testosterone, you're definitely going to need a plastic bottle, and this is extremely important because you need a way to dispose of those needles in a very safe way. And the safest way is you can throw them out, but you have to put them in a plastic bottle so someone who's, picking up the trash, or when you're doing trash or somebody else, they don't puncture themselves. You need to put it in, you could put it in a bleach bottle, a laundry detergent, a milk bottle. I put mine in like a Mountain Dew bottle. It really doesn't matter as long as it's in a very safe place. There are ways to dispose of needles also in your local area. You can find out normally via the waste facility in your area. So that's all I really wanted to say on this. So I guess this is the end of this week's video. I will get back to you guys next week, and I promise I won't miss a week again, because that was kind of obnoxious, and I felt bad about that. Next week, I'm not gonna be able to upload a Tuesday video again, but this is because I'm going to a concert, which is so sick, and it is, I don't know if anybody knows this band, but it's called the Mice and Men, and I got VIP tickets, so I get to meet them and go backstage and basically die, but that's alright. So I will make a video on Wednesday, and I will upload it, update you guys, all that stuff. So, yeah.